I wanted to ask you, which are you confronted with first? And I hope I'm wording it correctly.
Yeah.
Being Black or being same gender love?
I reject the premise of the question.
Okay, reject
I
it.
think even the positing of the question reinforces all of the worst parts of whiteness. Because if you are a white man, you never have to choose.
Ooh.
You're always in a position of power.
Ooh.
The further away you move from being a white man, and let's go back to the origins of the term, to be a man in this country meant that you were white, straight,
yes,
married,
yes,
Protestant,
yes,
and land owning. There were conditions to this.
Yes.
If you weren't any of those things, you didn't have the same rights as a designated man did. And what I know is that not only do I feel like I am unable to choose, I'm not doing that work for nobody else. You got to take all of me.
Yeah.
And this is what I know is one of the challenges. White mediocrity suggests that we pick and choose, not only within ourselves, but within our community. There's so much diversity. Again, everything that exists now started in Africa. And I want us to remember, let's reclaim African ways of being. There are countries that you can go to right now where they don't have gender pronouns, where he and she don't exist. Sambufu Some, one of my favorite writers, wrote a book called The Spirit of Intimacy. Chapter 13 of the book is titled Homosexuality, the Gatekeepers. They write, in my village in West Africa, the words lesbian and gay did not exist, but the word gatekeeper did. More importantly for me, they go on to say, gatekeepers hold the space between our community, the village, and our ancestors. In most spaces, whether it's Tahiti, Turtle Island, or Hawaii, Native indigenous spaces, understand that queer people are sacred. You don't get closer to freedom without having to go through us. It is why you can't talk about civil rights in this country without naming Bayard Rustin, a Black gay man who got his tooth knocked out, protesting, standing up for righteousness. He was a Quaker who understood that this is about us all celebrating and acknowledging our humanity. Marsha P. No Mind Johnson. The P paying no mind was, why you all up in my business?
Don't go too fast. I got to pause right here.
Okay.
I got to pause right here because you got...
See, I'm about to get excited.
No. But I want to drop it because I don't want to go on presumed knowledge.
Okay.
I need you all to know that Bayard Rustin was the genius behind Dr. King.
Yes, and if I can push you, when you think of him, think this is going to make some people uncomfortable. When you think of his name, think bi like bisexual. It's spelled like Bay, like the Bay, but it's Bayard Rustin. And not only, so beyond that, we would not have nonviolent civil protests if it were not for Bayard Rustin. He studied nonviolent civil protests internationally at the feet of monks and then brought that back here. He was not only Dr. King's confidant, he was a speechwriter, served as a godfather to his children, a friend to Coretta. And to a part of our earlier conversation, it was Black folks in the movement who wanted to sideline him and get him out of the way, who sold him out. Go to June, Pride Month. People forget that because it's usually skinny white boys and rainbows and unicorns, right? Stuff I don't like. They not like us. We would not have Pride if it were not for a Black woman, a Black trans woman named Marsha P. Johnson. Trans wasn't the term at the time. She would have called herself a drag performer. There's a whole nother conversation there around the evolution of terms and language, but Marsha paid no mind Johnson, the P was because people would ask her, who are you? And she was like, I pay that no mind. Why are you, if you're not loving on me, why are you concerned about some things that actually shouldn't concern you? And this is a Black woman who was a sex worker, who organized community, started an organization called STAR to make sure that children who were cast away had access to stable housing, to the medical services that they need. We've always shown up in these roles. And if we don't find ways to reject the things that whiteness continues to push upon us and reclaim African ways of being, we will die under the weight of the system that is designed to benefit them. This is when Brian Stevenson says systems work exactly as designed. This goes back to me saying that I refuse to do the work of trying to separate important parts of what make me whole.
I need you to do a quick remedial class. I have a doctorate degree, but I also have a GED. Help me translate. Yes, translate for me. What is transgender?
So, in the pure sense of the term, doctors make guesses at what gender is going to be at birth. right? Which is why people still engage in this arcane practice of gender reveals. Doctors are using every tool that they have, right? They're assessing chromosomes and makeup through the lens of biology, which is more of a social construct. The two things get mixed together. And they typically say that this child will likely be a boy, this child will likely be a girl. There's a small percentage of times where you cannot make a determination based on scientific principles. And so that baby might be intersex. If you, as a person growing up and developing, identify with the gender that the doctor assigned to you, you are cisgendered. CIS, not cis. You're cisgendered.
Tell me what that is.
It simply means that your gender identity is consistent with the gender identity that a doctor assigned to you.
Okay.
If that is not true for you, if my identity is different than what a doctor said it was going to be, you're trans. In a pure sense, that's what it means.
I got it.
We often get tripped up and start to think about sex.
Yes.
And genitalia.
Yes.
And stuff that generally is not somebody's concern unless you're trying to love up on somebody.
Right.
But this is literally about gender as it was assigned at birth, which is why you see this current administration trying to limit gender to that which a doctor assigned without regard for how one experiences life, how they've engaged in development, how they themselves see themselves in the mirror and wake up in the morning.